I like the energy. I want to start things off by giving a hearty thank you to our sponsors, which include Bates Technical College. You'll see them all around you. They're going to get all the fabulous close-up shots that you'll see on the screen here. And also renewal, remodels, and additions for providing the kitchen that you see behind Chef. Thank you. Woo! Little shout out. They're killing it, guys. And also, let's give a warm welcome to Chef Hailey Hernandez of Side Piece Kitchen. Hey, Hailey.
Oh, is it okay? Awesome. It worked like
good.
that. That's crazy how that happened, like technology. Hi. Yeah. Thanks for having me.
How you feeling?
I'm feeling so great. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Tell us a little bit of what you're doing today.
So today, I decided to be the Jewish representation here. So you're not getting anything Christmas from me at all. I could have brought matzo ball soup or latkes, but I said, biscuit sandwiches. We run a place called Side Piece Kitchen. Me and my husband do. And it's fantastic. I'll say it. And we specialize in biscuit sandwiches. Actually, what we say is we specialize in bangin' brunch and munchie slaps.
Yeah.
If you don't know what that is, bangin' is how the kids say it's amazing. And then munchie slaps, if it slaps, it's just another way to say, like, get a slap about it. So, that's what we do over there. Biscuits are our specialty, though.
I love it. And so if people were looking out for you, where can they find you?
So we are on South Tacoma Way over by 56. We don't have anywhere that you can go sit down and eat. It's what is called a virtual kitchen or a cloud kitchen, ghost kitchen. We do everything online, and then you just come pick it up. It's takeout only. You don't gotta come sit and hang out and listen to our crappy music. You get in, get out, go take it home and relax. So
love it.
I guess we could get started doing some things,
right? Let us know what you're doing.
All right. I thought about giving you guys this perfect biscuit recipe, and I realized that might be bad for business. So I'm going to give you my – I'm like, what if I give it out? What if there's other biscuit sleuths out there that might open up somewhere? So I opted to give you a slightly modified version. Our biscuits are my biscuits. They're not just our biscuits. They're my biscuits. Are one of my favorite comfort foods of all time, and one of the main reasons I think they're great for holidays. We're used to like soft yeast rolls or those Hawaiian king rolls. I feel like we need to bring biscuits into the arena. They're just hearty. They're great for if you have leftovers, make little sandwiches. They hold up really well. Plus, they're so versatile. We've done sweet biscuits to more savory. So we've done some crazy things with biscuits, and you can too. And just these steps. Right now we're gonna get started with preheating our oven. I preheat my oven to 400. 400 is just like the magic temperature of an oven. You can do anything at 400. It is if you don't know what temperature to put the oven on, just go with 400. Why not? 375, we don't know her. So we're going with 400. We bake at 400. I am hoping that works for this oven. It's been a while since I've used an electric anything. We use gas in all the restaurants, even our ovens. And so we might have to adjust a little bit depending on the oven that you have at home. You might need to go weirdly enough, 5 degrees up or down, just 5. If you're going more than 5, you've overdone it. It's 5 and that's it. In our biscuits, we actually use just AP, so all-purpose, unbleached flour. I think that flour is one of the things that people just overlook in their recipes. If you've ever wondered why something's not turning out right, flour has a lot of little small details that really matter when you're making something. Protein count is huge. That's why you might know about bread flour. What's the difference between bread flour or pastry flour or pizza flour, double O flour? All those things matter. We're just sticking with good old all-purpose, and preferably unbleached. I wish I could tell you more about why we're going with unbleached. I just think it sounded nicer, like every time I ever was into flour, and it tasted nicer. I really wish I could tell you more about that, but I like More Bread is a really fantastic brand to use, and that's what we use at our biscuits at the restaurant. So in our biscuit mix, I already put everything in here. We use 4 cups right here. You'll probably hear me like reference this as a deli today. We just call it a deli cup. It's what you ever go get like food from the deli and they throw it into one of these. It's what we use for everything. They're a very inexpensive Tupperware. Take yourself down to Cash and Carry or to the business Costco and throw that Tupperware out and just get you some deli containers. I'm not sponsored. Just go grab them, all right?
They're good for everything.
Come in multiple sizes.
The restaurant industry, and I like to drink my water out of them.
Yeah, see, that's perfect. Also, I just realized I didn't bring a bowl to make biscuits in, so you're going to want a bowl. Make sure you have that. We're going to use something a little different. That's right. My husband just looked at me like, uh-oh. So, whoops. So in our flour, we throw in some baking soda, baking powder, and salt. So it's really important that you have baking soda in anything that you're leavening without yeast. Baking soda and baking powder together help each other out. Baking powder is a more fine with a little bit of extra things. Baking soda is like it's in your face, it's there, and the proper balance, in my opinion, other people might tell you otherwise, is about a tablespoon to a teaspoon. So if you're using a tablespoon of baking powder, you just throw in a teaspoon of baking soda. You'll notice you'll get a nice, light, fluffier texture out of that. So that's in here. We got salt, flour, baking powder, baking soda. It's perfect. I use about a tablespoon of salt in one batch. This is 4 cups of flour. We get 12 biscuits out of this. That's a lot. I was thinking about just going all with the 36 batch that we do. And I'm like, what are we going to do with those here? And why do you need 36 biscuits at home? I mean, unless you want to, I could meet me out back. I'll tell you all about it. The next thing that we throw into our biscuits is sour cream. Sour cream has acidity in it, just like buttermilk, that kind of helps to react with the baking powder and the baking soda. So it also creates that nice, light, fluffy texture. The other thing that we use is buttermilk. They're buttermilk biscuits. I like Smith Brother Farms. They're local. Yep. Their product is amazing, and they're so affordable. So that's going to go in there too. And then, of course, an unreasonable amount of butter. And you will see just how much. So that is first. We got our oven preheating over here. And I guess we'll get working on that. I'm going to try to find some form of bowl. So
maybe check.
I think I have one thing.
Check the drawers too. Maybe one of the chefs left a bowl.
Maybe they can't make promises. Hold on, let's find out. I knew I was forgetting something too.
Phooey.
Let's see.
That's what happens when we invite you chefs to come over. There's
this is
always
why they've never invited me
thing where
before.
you're like, oh.
Hold on 1 second. Okay, it's fine. We're just gonna make it. Oh, look, we have this.
Hey,
look at this. Who says this isn't a bowl?
That's a bowl.
All right, this is a bowl. It's a bowl today. All right. The other thing that we have over here is a food processor. I use my butter and my flour. I pulse that in the food processor. If you don't have a food processor at home, you can use a grater, just like a cheese grater. Freeze your butter. Frozen butter, number 1 most important rule in biscuits. Make sure it is so solid and just grate it with a cheese grater and then hand mix it into your flour. It helps to incorporate into there a little bit better. You want to kind of like if you've ever made a pie and you want that butter really nice and you want to go with biscuits just slightly less than you would go for pie. You want to just go a little less than pie crust. And I'll show you that here. So we'll use our food processor. We use a Roku. We use it for everything at the kitchen. We use it for things that we probably shouldn't. So don't tell them or they'll void my warranty. So grab some butter.
Not a word here, guys.
We use unsalted butter. That's huge. I feel like any salt that you want in it, you can add later. And you don't ever want to over salt. So even at home, we use unsalted butter for everything. My husband always asks me, can we just get salted butter? I want some toast and I don't want to add the salt. I said, no, we're using the unsalted butter. So next thing we need is a knife.
So I'm curious, how long have you been perfecting your biscuits?
Like 10 years, about 10 years. All my adult life, all 10 years of it.
Dedicated to the biscuit.
Yeah, all about biscuits. So how we get our butter in the restaurant is just in big, giant 1-pound blocks. We use 1 pound to 4 cups. in my head, it makes sense why that measurement makes sense, but I understand there's no way I can probably correlate that out of my brain. The other thing I said, if you don't have a food processor, just freeze it, take the cheese grater on the large setting and just grate it into the bowl. So we just cut it up into really small pieces. If you are using a food processor, just like little butter pats.
And besides biscuits, I've heard rumors that you have pretty phenomenal cheesecakes.
I would say we could probably put Cheesecake Factory out of business. I don't know. But yeah, no, we have really fantastic cheesecakes. You know, cheesecakes are like a Jewish necessity. That's our thing. We have a whole holiday about cheesecakes. It's a great thing to be Jewish. But yeah, great cheesecakes. Definitely come check those out. We do them in all flavors too.
Oh, all flavors.
All of them.
Check out the Instagram. You will get an eye full of things that just are exciting to look at, let alone eat.
You also get a lot of me rambling on there. So they should have never given me an Instagram. So right here I have that set that has our flour and our baking soda, baking powder, and our salt. My Roku food processor is over here. I would recommend you have it on the table. Unfortunately, the power connection just didn't line up for us today. So I'm going to come over here to the Roku onto the whatever this is. And we add in our flour first. It's just kind of important the butter would stick to the bottom and not move around as much. So I always add my flour before I add my butter. I'll take that whole entire pound of butter and try to not drop any. I might drop some. All right. And I throw them in individually into the flour so they're not stuck together. It's important so it incorporates better. Better butter. All right. Cut out of there. All right. Just break it up so it's not super stuck together. And the texture that you're looking for is right before it turns into pie dough. If you go too long, of it kind of melts together and makes it one entire mass. We want it to be nice and powdery and just rough. I always tell my cooks and my husband that you want to go for sound. It's right when it stops sounding gravelly and like things are knocking around inside the food processor, you want it to sound smooth. If you're hand grating it, you don't got to worry about that. But if you're using a food processor, it's all about sound. And the more you are familiar with baking biscuits, which y'all should be doing, the better you'll get at that. So hopefully maybe you can hear it. Let's find out.
Let's find out.
So we just turn it on. We don't pulse it. So you can kind of maybe potentially hear that it's really rough in there right now.
It's doing its thing. I love how oftentimes, the best tips when you've been cooking for long enough is when it sounds right or when it smells right.
Yeah, put your ear to the ground about it. So. All right, you see, it sounds really rough, and you can probably even see it kind of jostling back and forth right now.
It's doing its thing.
And then it hits a higher pitch, like a nice hum, and the gravelly sound of it will stop. And it just sounds like it's moving around so nice and well, exactly how I've coerced it to. All right, so it's really smooth now. It's not shaking. And you hear it powdery, kind of. Any longer, it turns into pie dough. So it's great. Just throw it in the freezer if you mess it up. Or what I will do sometimes is there's another 4 cups of flour that go into this recipe. So often I will, if I have forgotten about it because I'm distracted, which is very easy for me, I'll just throw it back in the fridge until it's hard again, cut it back up and use it as if it is butter. Same thing if you ever make like a hollandaise or a aioli and you break it, you just use that base, refrigerate for a little bit, and then just pull more oil through it. So it's kind of same kind of concept when it comes to making anything with butter and flour. So we'll add it into our square bowl. And you can see that texture. You don't have any big lumps. It kind of still looks really pebbly, kind of like the sand on Washington beaches. A little rough. You'll get like little chunks here and there. If you get anything larger than about a dime size, I kind of throw back into the Roku and our food processor, and I'll blend it back up with some flour. Just break it apart. But other than that, it looks great.
Wonderful.
All right. So I mentioned there's a whole nother 4 cups of flour that go in here. And look, I missed a piece of butter. Oh, no.
Not the butter.
All right. So these containers are actually 32 ounces, which is why I like to use them in the restaurant. They come in 32, 16, and 8 ounce. So you got 4 cups, 2 cups, and a cup. So you just go off of that. I don't ever really use the measuring cups there. I just go with these or a scale. If you have a scale, that's better. Couldn't tell you the amounts that you're using in weight for this though, all right? So there's another 4 cups of all-purpose flour. Let me see. I just sift her in.
Is there a reason you're sifting it rather than just tossing it in there?
You don't want lumps. Yeah, there's you never know if there's like extra humidity where your flour was stored, if it was old, if you spilled water in it like I did the other day, and then had to throw it all out. Don't use your flour if you do that. But if you did and you wanted to ignore the rules, just sift it and you'll catch anything, and that's perfect. So we want it nice and fine, really powdery and thin and light, so we can beat it up in just a second and make it look like it wasn't worth it. The other thing that goes in here, I mentioned buttermilk and sour cream. So I always give my buttermilk a real good shake, just because some of that fat sets to the bottom. You want to make sure everything is really nice and emulsified back together. So give her a nice shake. And then I use 1/3 of a cup in this recipe for this part. You ever see a recipe and it's like, you use this plus this, and you're like, why didn't you just put it together? It's for a later part. So, so 1/3 of a cup to begin with. And then 1 cup of sour cream for one recipe like this. You want the fullest fat sour cream that you can get. Don't get fat-free. It's biscuits. Nobody's eating them because they're trying to be healthy, all right? I'm not going with low fat. God, don't do the 1%, all right? Just get the whole milk, or even better, the Mexican-style sour cream. That's my favorite to use.
Yeah.
You want to try to force as much fat into it as you possibly can. It's going to make people think it tastes good. So fat is the vessel for which flavor travels is one of my favorite things. So 1 cup. So
Plus,
I like
it's
to
the
put
holidays.
Exactly.
We have forgiveness for these
Yeah,
things.
exactly. I like to put the buttermilk in first, because you can kind of use it as a level for your thicker mixtures. So you have that 1/3 cup in there. So if you're putting in a cup of sour cream, you don't have to look for that lumpy sour cream line. You look for it to reach the 1/3 cup or 1 1/3 cup mark on the pitcher. These are fantastic. If you have just regular measuring cups at home, that's fine. I like to just use a one for all type of situation. $6 at any restaurant store. Just go start shopping there. So you just start doing it. Things are so much cheaper there, and they last forever. And this is a staple in our house. So we're adding 1 cup, and that's just gonna go straight into this floury butter mixture now. I got all of that out of there. Biscuits are a really forgiving type of baking. I think it's why it's something I'm good at when it comes to baking. Baking is like science. Anything else you do, cakes, it really, really matters exactly how much you're putting in. Biscuits came in and just tossed everything out the window and said, just go by feel. I used to think that was a joke until I started cooking and making biscuits, and it's a lot more about feel. As long as you have the base things there, it's the most forgiving recipe. And at the end of the day, it's globs of butter and flour. People are going to love it. So if we throw that in there, then we need a little bit more buttermilk. So this is, let me do some math in my head. 1/3. So we want about 2 2/3 cups more. So I guess in total, you'd be using 3 cups of buttermilk for this recipe. But you want to add them in different stages. Got that in there. And you want all of your ingredients to be super, super cold. If they're not cold, the butter starts to melt, and you just end up with really hard rocks. If you want those nice, light, fluffy textures, super cold is the way to go. All right, that's in there. We'll move some stuff out of the way, and then I'll make a mess.
So while we're Tetrising things, tell us a little bit about why did you start Side Piece Kitchen? What's the story?
I'll give you the appropriate story. I have worked for other people for a very long time, and I've been I've been in a chef's position for about 8 years now, but I've worked in the kitchen for about 12 now. And I was just tired of listening to people do things that I I don't know. I wanted to be my own boss. So I'm like, if I think I know better, I might as well go do it, right? So on the side, while I was working at my other full-time job, I would do this. And I'm like, I love biscuits. This was something that was really popular for me when I'd done it at other restaurants. And yeah, I guess I just decided to go for it. I broke my arm in January and they asked me, when are you going to be back at work? And I said, that's it, I'm done. So I went home and I applied for my business license and we opened Side Piece. So it went from being my side piece, my thing on the side, to being my main job. We should probably change the name, but we're not going to because now it just doesn't fit. But people love it. My husband quit his job in August and came and now he works for me full time.
Love it.
Living the dream. It's great. But yeah, Side Piece has just been, I wanted to do everything that I wanted to be able to do. Like I was sick and tired of not taking advantage of my 20s. So here I am. I'm putting on gloves. You don't have to use gloves. I have a weird thing about sticky on my hands. So we use a lot of gloves in the house. Also, I guess for sanitary reasons, like at work, we use the gloves to do this, but at home, you can go all in with your hands if you want. I am not a textures person like that. I don't like the feeling. But yeah, I always put gloves on. Plus, it's a little bit easier to get off than on my hands. So we this is kind of hard to do in this. We toss it. You want to go from like underneath of it and lift it up and let it fall. You're not mixing, you're tossing. You're throwing it all together. Anything that will stick will stick. Toss it back and forth until it kind of comes together. You can squeeze too. Squeezing is nice. You don't have to be gentle with it. Just don't mix. You don't want a lot of, when you start to mix, gluten starts to develop a little bit more and it can make things a little firm. And you want to just kind of keep it as a mass. What we want a lot of the textures to come from is the folding, which I'll be doing next. All right. Everything's all mixed in. It doesn't have to be perfectly mixed at all. There'll be some residual powder, I am sure. All right. Now, I always like to have an extra thing of flour on the side to kind of loosen. This part of this has no measurement. This is just all by feel. So I usually, once I feel like I have a nice little mix here, I will grab this and dust my gloves off to get anything that's left over, just enough to kind of pull everything off the gloves so it goes back into the batch. Then I pull it up and I dust underneath of it. This is kind of nicer than a bowl. You can see through it a little bit. Here, let's clear it off. We need a squeegee.
See, it's doing its thing.
And then I pull the other side and I dust underneath of it. I'm taking I would say in each pinch about 1/8 of a cup. But like I said, just don't measure. Just go by feel. You don't want to lose that feeling of the dough. So then I'll put some flour over the top and I press it down to the bottom, and that flour we just added will make sure that when we dump it over, it just falls right out. Ta-da! All right.
Love the intuitive cooking here.
So now we've got our dough mass. It's a workout, honestly. Whatever calories you take in with these, you put out by making them. So that's what I've been telling myself. So I kind of will get it into this little ball and kind of shape it into a square because that's easier to work with than a circle. And then I cat paw it and make it so that my dog would hate that I said that. But I cat paw it.
We won't tell him.
Yeah, my husband will when we get home. It's too late. And my mother-in-law, she's here as well.
Big trouble.
I'm in big trouble with the dog. So kind of scrape that up to expose that sticky that's on the inside because we have all that flour that's around it right now, kind of creating a seal. And then I just fold it over. And you push with all your might. This is why it's really important your ingredients are cold, because you transfer so much heat from your body into the butter and it can melt if it's not super cold. So then again, we cat paw it and fold over.
That's a workout.
It is, especially when you're doing the size batches that we do. And then again, sometimes you'll notice in between layers that it might look like it's coming up, like there was too much flour in between a layer. The way you fix that is just scratch it until it's sticky again. But that doesn't happen that often. Maybe at the beginning. So again, we scratch and fold it back over.
And about how many biscuits do you guys make a day when you're open for business?
Apparently not enough. We run out every single day.
Love it.
It was fun at first, and now it's just stressful. I don't want to wake up any earlier, but right now there's on our busier days probably about 300. On our less busy days, about I don't know, about 100 and something, 100 and 100 in there. It depends on how many. Depends on how many. It's another thing you just gotta feel. You know, you gotta feel what you want to do. It's the best thing about being your own boss. I want to go home early. Let's only make 120. Sounds good.
Like, that's
just
it.
kidding. I wish we could do that. That would cause an uproar. When it comes to the amount of folds that we're doing here, I wish that I had a better way to say this, but you're going for when it stops feeling like it could ooze out of your hands. You don't want ooey gooey fooey. You want like something a little bit more firm and pliable. You can kind of see it. It has a little less mush to it. It has a little bit more bounce back, and it's significantly firmer.
Chef, I don't know if we're going to get a finished biscuit today. We have about 10 more minutes.
Oh, gosh. Okay, that's fine. We're not doing steak sandwich. Anyways.
But we're getting a biscuit lesson.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. I did start a little bit late. I'm so sorry about that.
No.
Biscuit lesson it is.
There was a little overage. Technical difficulties in test kitchens.
Yeah.
Soup's not getting hot. It happens. We're just here for the ride.
Just come grab the dough. It's been a long day for me anyways, you know? All right, so I will roll it out after it starts to feel firm into about 1.5 inches. Once it's there, we scrape it up and give it some texture just so it doesn't burn as easily. And then this is the size that we use at home. I don't know if you want these giant, massive biscuits. You can go with something smaller. You could even make them little cute ones. You just got to make sure you don't ever want your biscuit taller than the cookie cutter, or biscuit cutter is what we call it. And you kind of like have to figure out how to dial that in. If we were going about this size, these are great for like canapes or little tiny dessert things, that little shortcakes. You could add sugar into this and make it like a shortcake if you wanted. We do that often. It's going to rise a lot. You got to think of like width versus height. All right, so we dust the outside of this with flour and just push straight down. Don't twist. If I swear, if any of you guys open a biscuit place, you'll have to deal with me. All right.
She will find you.
You don't want that. I show up late to places. It's just I'll show up late to talk to you about it. So, all right.
It's okay. You didn't give us the sweet deets. I know you're holding something in the vault.
Yeah, I know. My husband told me not to, so you can take that up with him. So, but yeah, about for the smaller size, I would say probably about a little less than 3/4 inch. You can kind of see the difference in height here. These ones are significantly shorter because they'll rise. And you can refold this back together, mush it back up, and do everything. You can do it up to 3 times. All right. Back to biscuit lessons. We use just regular baking sheets and Silpats. You can use parchment paper, but I highly recommend investing in these. You can get them at Costco, 3 for like $13.
Nice.
It's a silicone baking pad, and it kind of helps the heat to be a little more even, and it doesn't stick as much. And they work so much better for things that have a lot of butter in them, baked goods, any kind of pastry. I recommend getting these. You want to space them out pretty evenly. You'll get about 12 out of something like this. And like I said, 400. It's money.
Sweet spot. Maybe 5 over, 5 under.
Yeah,
but not
exactly.
More than that.
Maybe, who knows?
Maybe
you might get 5 less biscuits than I just told you too. I'm gonna throw these in here just in high hopes of whatever. So what I had planned to do, but then I showed up late, was make you guys some steak with it too. A steak sandwich biscuit is one of my favorites. I figured my thought process with that was that I'm sure a lot of you might have prime rib for Christmas. I don't know. Leftover prime rib on these biscuits, perfect for breakfast. You could eat it for lunch. You could eat it for dinner if you wanted. I always like to recommend like a nice high quality steak with that. When we do steak sandwiches with these, we just do salt, pepper, sear, garlic, thyme, butter. We do it about medium rare. When you're eating a steak sandwich, you kind of want to maybe a little bit more towards medium. So it's on a biscuit, or on bread or whatever you choose. One thing that is important that we do with our biscuits that I might have enough time maybe to show you is what we do with our eggs. One thing that's going to be really important for you guys is to make sure that your eggs are the highest quality possible. A high quality egg has so much more fat and protein and deliciousness in it. They're a little bit sweeter. I can actually show you here. These are the eggs that we use. You notice that they're brown and blue. They're called heritage eggs. They come from heritage hens, and they are just delicious.
Where do you get them from?
Here and there. Here and there. If the health department, I'm just kidding. No, we actually get them from our vendor in Seattle, from Merlino's. You can actually get them at Metropolitan Market. I think that they sometimes carry them at Grocery Outlet if you're lucky. Shout out to the Bargain Market.
Yeah.
And also sometimes at Fred Meyer. But the heritage ones are a little bit harder to find. But you'll see the color of the yolk there. I don't know if you can see that. But they're like bright orange. And this one is actually a little bit more yellow than I would personally prefer. At the restaurant, we might toss this one. Or not toss it, but put it aside for a different recipe. Because this isn't up to our standard. They actually feed them red pepper and a very organic diet so that they can get those nice yellow-orange yolks. The blue and the brown, there's not much difference besides what color the chicken's ears were. That is how the color of the egg, what color are your chicken's ears. That's all that means. It doesn't make it any better or worse. But if they're really white, they were probably bleached and you don't want them. So don't use those. But we just fry in canola oil with salt and pepper, and we throw that on our sandwiches. We were going to have chimichurri. It was going to be great, but I showed up late.
You did not show up late.
I feel like I did. I feel like I did. I feel like it was we're not gonna, I don't want to blame
Don't take ownership over that, Hailey. You're good.
Oh no. Yeah, it was a long day. So the biscuits go in for 2 sets of 10 minutes each, and I say that instead of 20 minutes because if you just put a timer in for 20 minutes, you're gonna forget to turn them. I have done that. I don't recommend just setting them in for 20. So 10 minutes, and then you turn them halfway and do it for another 10 minutes. Sometimes you have to go a little 5 less, 5 more. Same with the time. And they will be nice and flaky, and hopefully they come out in time. I don't know if we have enough time to finish.
We'll let them do their thing,
Just let them do their thing.
When it comes to chimichurri, how do you make that? Tell us a little bit about.
Let me tell you about my chimichurri.
Hey.
We go a little less traditional than what you would actually expect from chimichurri. I feel like there's so many variations. We use cilantro when we make our chimichurri. We use some parsley, flat leaf parsley, not the curly leaf parsley. Curly leaf tastes like tires. I don't know if you guys get that, but you ever been inside like a Les Schwab and that smell? That's what curly leaf tastes like to me. It's just not fun. Flat leaf's a little bit better. So cilantro and parsley together. And then we use fresh oregano. Fresh oregano makes all the difference. You can use dry oregano, but if you're not using fresh spices, I feel like you're doing yourself, or fresh herbs, you're doing yourself a disservice because you just get so much more flavor. Yeah. And it's the thing that takes your food from like, this is good to like, wow, this is amazing. So fresh herbs. Same thing with our steaks. We use thyme, fresh thyme with our steaks as well. So we'll take that. We usually take all the leaves off. We throw some lemon zest in. I would do it, but and then some lemon juice. Some high quality red wine vinegar. I used to think that it was all the same stuff. Like cheap is cheap, just get whatever. It's red wine vinegar, but no, it's definitely not. So high quality red wine vinegar. We use some salt, pepper, some chili flake. One of my favorite. You guys can have this top secret from me. Oh. Smoked salt. 10 out of 10. And smoked pepper. They just add a lot more flavor and umami to your dish. Malden sea salt, you can get it pretty much any of the stores that you wouldn't usually grocery shop at, but you like to go for a date night. Metropolitan Market, shout out to them. You can get it at Tacoma Boys. I love Malden sea salt. You can even get it on Amazon. The smoked salt is delicious. And then finally, what we'll put in there usually is some very, very, very high quality olive oil. This is one of my favorites. Anything that seems like you don't want the kids using it. Just you go buy that. Anything you like, that's the special olive oil. That kind of stuff just adds so much more flavor and impacts the dish so much more. We also will throw some shallot in there. Shallots are another one of those chef secrets that when people are like, what is in this? What's that taste? Shallot. It's shallot, or paprika is another one. So we'll throw some paprika in there as well. But shallot, they just have so much more sweetness and they're so delicious. So that chimichurri is really nice. Let me paint the picture. You've got nice, soft, crispy biscuit on the outside filled with layers of butter, and it's flaky and delicious. And then you got this steak that's got a perfect sear and it's medium. And then you got this really delicious egg that people are going, wow, where'd you get that egg? Did that come from your chickens? And not here in North Tacoma. And then you have your chimichurri sauce, and then I'll put frisee on there just so that you have something nice and light and crispy. Frisee is one of my favorite greens. Yeah, that's like my perfect sandwich right there. Steak
sounds
sandwich. I'm a
perfect.
steak sandwich kind of gal. All
It
right.
sounds dreamy.
Yeah, it would have been, but it is. You gotta come see me at the restaurant. Come see us at side piece.
There you go. So if people wanted to order, and your menu rotates, right? You don't do
It
the same
does.
items all the time, but if someone were taking a peek online and they're like, I need this, when do people need to order so they can get in there nice and early? Where's that
It's
sweet
like 3
spot?
days ahead. Yeah, to be honest.
Yeah.
Right now, if you want to make sure you get food from us, you need to order on average about 3 days ahead of time. Orders fill up. We take 4 orders every 15 minutes. So we open at 9 o'clock in the morning and we close at 1. So there's however many 15-minute time slots there. There's 4 slots per hour of 4 people each picking up. Those fill up. They just go real quick. And right now it's about 3 days ahead is when you can sometimes, if somebody canceled their order or whatever, you can sometimes order the same day. You actually probably can order the same day depending on how the time works out.
Mhm.
Fridays are a great day to pick up from us. Sundays, you got both of us yelling at each other back there because we're so stressed out. We need to hire somebody. That's how that is. But yeah, right now about 3 days ahead. You find us online at sidepiecekitchen.com. If you're on the Instagrams, we're on there. We don't post much on Facebook. So if you're on Facebook, unfortunately, I forget that exists a lot.
It happens.
Yeah.
So is it just the 2 of you right now?
It's just me and my husband. Yeah.
Good job,
Just me
guys.
and
Let's give
him.
up for that husband-wife team.
Yeah. Shout out to Dante, who quit his job to come work with his wife. And
true love.
Yeah, honestly, we've been together for 13 years now. So he's my high school sweetheart.
Aww.
Been together since I was 16 years old. So yeah,
so you've been practicing these biscuits as you're perfecting them.
He's known me since I burned water. Yeah, I used to go to the store and buy something pre-made. It was always the curry from Metropolitan Market, and I'd get like pre-cooked rice, and I would buy just enough of the ingredients that made it look like I had cooked that night. So like, oh, I know there's this in there, some sweet potato, and I would cut up just enough of it and leave it on the cutting board. So when he'd come home, he thought I cooked dinner, but all I did was microwave it. And that's how far we've come. I thought he was going to be the chef, and look at how things change. I don't know what happened.
So are you saying that you didn't always want to be a chef? Is this
absolutely not. I thought for sure that I had a different plan in life. But I walked into a kitchen, and on my first day, I just fell in love. It was just like love at first sight all over again. It's a really cool place to work. It's like, it's a little bit more rugged, and it's not what I ever had expected. There's people from all walks of life. There's people who just got out of prison. There's people who might be going there. There's moms, sisters, brothers. There's people from everywhere. Keep people who came from higher education. Keep people who are like me and came from poor white trash. It just like, it is what it is. And I loved it. It was just so awesome. There's no judgment. You don't talk about politics there or anything. You just go cook, and you're only as good as what you put on the plate. And so it doesn't matter who you are. You just put it on the plate and let that speak for it.
Amen.
Loved it.
I love it. Yes, little
where we
applause
are
for that.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Do you want to tell folks now? We can't go and dine with you. It is make an order online, come and pick it up. But you have some kitchen mates as well.
Yes.
Right?
Oh my gosh, how could I forget about them? I wouldn't be anywhere without them, and my husband, and my mom, who also helps us out in the kitchen sometime, by the way. But Buddy's Chicken and Waffles. My boys over at Buddy's Chicken, my boys and girls over at Buddy's Chicken and Waffles. They're just the most amazing people. Please go order their food. They're just as busy as us, if not, they're way busier actually. But there's 5 of them. There's 2 of us, so they're a little bit quicker than us. Chicken, amazing. 10 out of 10. 10 across the board. Waffles, amazing. And they're just great. Like I said, great. He loves his mother, but he loves his mom. He's from Baltimore. His niece works with him and his cousin. It's a family affair. Go support them too. And we just have a great, jolly time together. So
I love it. And do you have any upcoming pop-ups or any places we can find you?
And we usually post on Instagram. I think Dante's giving me fingers. Oh, the 30th. The 30th, we have one at Beer Star in Tacoma. Those are our friends over there. You can go to Beer Star in Tacoma and get our food. I don't know what time though, and he does.
We've got the
4 to
fingers
6,
in the back.
I think. 4 to 6. I think that's what that was. Dante kind of handles those things. I handle a lot of the other stuff. So, Yeah,
So people can have a beer and have some of your grub. Do you know what you're going to have on the menu yet? I'm putting you on the spot here. I'm sorry, chef.
You know, I have no idea. Absolutely not. You know what we do is usually we have a glass of wine and we figure out what specials we're making for the day. Yeah, you just let the alcohol flow through you, and then that's typically how. Usually we'll just take a couple, take a couple drinks and then figure it out. Honestly, though, we'll probably be doing something with, I don't know, maybe porchetta again. We'll probably be doing something with steak. I think hey, who knows? Yeah, Dante, that's what we're going to do. We're going to do this steak sandwich at Beer Star. Come taste it there on the 30th.
Hey,
there you go.
There we go.
Bingo. Yeah, he's looking at me like he hates me right now. So.
Any questions for Chef?
Ask away.
I'm just rattling them off, but you have her here.
Yeah, this is the one opportunity.
How's your biscuit looking?
They're not looking so done. There are like 10 minutes left. I just turned them around. But,
sorry, the stovetop wasn't cooperating earlier, so we're having a little.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Test kitchens.
Come check it out at Beer Star. We'll do this exact same sandwich. We're using Wagyu steak, so you come get that at Beer Star with us. Do some high quality eggs, and why wouldn't you want to hang out with me? So I'm a great time. So
Amen.
You guys come hang out with me. We'll come hang out, and I'll tell you all about biscuits and steak and things.
We have a question here.
Yeah, go for it.
Hi. I'm Rochelle.
Hi, Rochelle.
Hi. No question. My husband Travis and I love you. Love your food. Love Buddy.
Yeah.
Just thanks for showing us how to make biscuits.
Yeah.
We're excited to eat more of your food. So that's all.
Thank you so much. That means so much to me. I got fans.
That's right.
This is why I'd never come out. How often have I dropped your food off to you? Probably never, right? Dante handles all of this. They don't let me out of the kitchen. So they barely let me on the internet. So.
Listen, you got a lot of biscuits and cheesecakes to make, so you can't.
I do.
You don't have time. You don't have time to be coming out and chatting.
Yeah, exactly. It'd take an hour for your order to come out if I was talking to everybody. It just that'd be really.
That's why we're lucky to have you here. I'm so happy you can make it.
Yeah, I'm really grateful to have been here, and I hope you guys get to make some biscuits this holiday. Hit us up on Instagram. I'll answer questions about biscuits. Come taste the sandwich. And you guys should look into some awesome Jewish recipes too for Hanukkah. Come celebrate with us this December.
Yes. Any final thoughts, Chef? Any final thoughts?
No, honestly, no. No, I'm just, I'm really thankful to have been here. I hope that you guys got to see a little bit of what side pieces like to work with. Imagine how that must be. I hope that I gave you a new look on biscuit life. So
Love it. Let's give it up for Chef Hailey.
Yeah, thanks,
Thank you so much for joining us.